Following is a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program are solely that of Heiar Insurance, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Welcome in, everybody, to Taking Care of Business on a Friday. That means Senior Solutions. And if it seems like we're coming in because we were having a conversation and you came in the middle of it, it's because we were.
We were, definitely.
You want to talk about retirement, you want to talk about planning for your future. Making $47 million a year is a great way to really plan for a future. For the rest of us, though, we might need a little help. And that's where having a conversation with somebody like yourself and the team over there at Heiar Insurance comes in. And, I guess we'll start it off there. How's it going, Matt Heiar?
I'm doing well. It's this is my weather. I know everyone's like, it's cold and stuff. It's
it's so nice.
I love it. I love fall weathers. And we didn't really get a spring.
We didn't.
Spring was really cold and then all of a sudden really hot. Mm-hmm. And now,
overnight, yeah.
If we can just have a true fall, still get, some 80-degree days, kind of moving forward. But I just love the cool nights.
Keep this vibe until, the start of, November. And
December.
I feel pretty good. Well, I mean, sure. If we can stretch it that far, that'd be great. But, when I think about things coming up and coming up quicker than we realize, Halloween is not all that far off. And I love getting the kids out, letting the kids walk around. I love watching the kids go and do their thing. The costumes every year are crazy and cool. It sucks to do when they get all these really nice costumes and they got to throw a winter jacket over it.
Very true. And also, with Thanksgiving, the kids, sometimes they're playing football outside in sweatshirts.
Right.
Which is really nice. But that's one thing we can't control.
That's true.
Kind of like retirement.
That is very true.
Nice segue. But that's the thing, I'm just pumped. I love the holiday weekend, Labor Day weekend. It's great. So we got a 3-day weekend. Fantasy football drafts coming up.
There you go.
Packers are starting next week. Mm-hmm. Got a big win from the Badgers yesterday.
We did.
And I stayed up for it. Wow. It was late. For a home game ending at 11. That was tough. But just exciting stuff. And then all of a sudden to hear the news that we got, an all-pro person that's 26 years old when we're already one of the youngest teams in the NFL. It's just really exciting moving forward. And so today is a great day. I mean, between weather, the time of year, it's exciting.
There you go. And Wisconsin sports have been very exciting lately, which is awesome. I can't agree more with the weather. I told Wade this morning on my way here, I drove about half the distance with my windows down. And that's coming in from Waupun, so that's 65 because I drive the speed limit on 151. Mm-hmm. Windows down, enjoying it. Didn't care how cool it felt. It was amazing.
What time do you come in the morning?
Well, this morning a little bit earlier than normal. I was here. I had to be here by 7 for me to jump on the show with Wade.
Okay.
So it was about 6:35, 6:40 this morning when I was on my way in.
All right. I didn't get to listen, but my ears were ringing because I had some text messages from people that were listening.
Elephant in the room. Matt Heiar, we got to talk about this. By far, apparently, the greatest mustache in the Dodge County area. Possibly the greatest mustache in the world is what we're talking here. Not
too credible of a source with Wade. I know he says that all the time.
He does, but, we were throwing around some great mustache names. Tom Selleck was thrown out there. Burt Reynolds was thrown out there. Matt Heiar right there in the rankings.
Number 3, yes.
And we had a bunch of questions about how much work you put into it because it's always so well groomed and put together. Do you have special product? Do you have to get up in the morning and tease it? How do you get that mustache?
No. So it's not. Yeah, I have my own brush for it. No. I've never thought I'd have to answer these questions. But no, it's. Yeah, I actually get made fun of if I try to do anything with it. Because my wife will walk in and she'll be like, just shave it off. And I don't know. It just started and I did it and it was kind of funny.
Right.
And then it's just kind of a thing now all of a sudden. And now it's because I look very similar to my brothers. So I get called Blake and Cody all the time.
Right.
So I kind of distinguish myself. It's oh yeah, you're the one with the mustache.
There you go.
And it kind of made sense and it was easy and so it just kind of stuck, and now Wade really talks it up, even though I do not believe what he's saying. But and that's the story of the mustache. But yes, people were calling me and texting me this morning saying they're talking about you on the radio. Right. I was like, let me guess about what? And it was not about retirement. It was about my mustache.
Which, if nothing else, that shows that one, people in the community know you. Mm-hmm. You're accessible. People reaching out to you because they heard your name. And, it's a name that does perk up a few ears. The Heiar family, Heiar Insurance, Matt Heiar, Sandy Heiar, we know who you guys are because you're here. You're in the community. You're working here. You're not just somebody you find that comes here occasionally from Madison or something.
Yeah, but we're not going to change our logo or motto. So like, there isn't that lawyer that's something with the beard.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's like, no, we're not going to do anything like that. But
no,
yeah,
no, trust the stash. No, maybe?
Doesn't have as good of a ring to
Not
it. I don't
quite
think.
the same. We did talk about it being Labor Day weekend, 3-day weekend for a lot of people. I'm going to assume that means that Heiar Insurance, which is normally open from 9 to noon, 1 to 5, Monday through Friday, going to be closed on Labor Day, I'm assuming.
We will definitely be closed on Labor Day, but back open at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. And then my summer hours are over.
See, and that's why I didn't mention it, but yeah.
My summer hour.
Right. So today, then, you're here all the way till 5?
No.
No, today's the last day.
This is the last because it's not quite Labor Day yet.
Enjoy it.
So yes, we are closed at 4 today, but then every other day moving forward, it's going to be till 5 and probably later because our fun time of year is coming up.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely going to touch on a lot of that, which is important to touch on. I wanted to run through some because I was talking with some people recently, and the conversation kind of came up about like what we have said, where they don't teach you these things. They don't teach the basics on, what it means to retire, what Medicare means, how this stuff works. It's just kind of a one day out of the blue, somebody says, hey, you're eligible for Medicare. Here's your card. And what do I do with it? So I wrote down kind of some of the things that we talked about in our conversation that I said I'm going to kind of get Matt to try and help clarify.
Okay.
So if you're game, we're going to run through these.
All right.
So the first question pertains to Medicare. When are you eligible? How much?
Okay.
Okay.
Go
ahead,
are
go
we
ahead.
speed answering these?
No,
or are we-
let's go. So when are you eligible?
65, or if you're on disability for for 24 months, on the 25th month, they will automatically sign you up for Medicare.
Okay. How much does it cost?
Medicare currently this year is $185. They're projecting almost a $20 increase. Still not, they haven't said it yet, but that is quite a large increase. So we could be talking over $200 next year.
Now, you mentioned you get it when you're 60, but you also could get it if you've been disabled for 24 months or more.
Yep.
So 25th month, they auto sign you up. Is Medicare something you have to have?
Great question. So now we're going down a rabbit hole here because this isn't like a one-word answer.
No, that's fine.
Because that's a big thing when people come in and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm turning 65. They heard correct information. Like, I got to sign up 3 months before. That's perfect. We have an enrollment period. It's called the IEP, Initial Election Period. And it's 3 months before, the month of, and then 3 months after. So you have 7 months to sign up.
Okay.
Right?
It's a big window to not screw it up.
Correct. So, but they threaten us, penalties. If we miss that enrollment period, then we have to wait till January for a February 1st start date, and you get a 10% penalty. Lifetime penalty.
That doesn't go away.
So, yes. So if Medicare is $200 next year, you're going to pay $220.
I would say, at first I was like, 10% is not that bad. And then I think about the cost of Medicare and how it always goes up. That penalty gets bigger.
Yes, essentially with the premium. So now it's situational though. So people come in 3 months prior and they're like, yep, I need to sign up for Medicare. And I'm like, okay. And then the questions start. What do you have for insurance now? Well, I'm working. I work at a factory. They have 100 employees. Right. How much longer are you working? I don't know, 5 more years. It's like, okay, we're not going to do anything. We are not going to sign up for Medicare.
And you don't have to worry about a penalty?
No. So, and that's why people are like, what? No, I was told I
I
have
saw
to.
the letter. It said if I don't sign up, it's
Yes.
going to cost me extra. I don't have penalties.
Absolutely. And that's where, or if you're having group insurance to your spouse, you don't have to. If it's a large employer, which is considered by the government 20 or more employees, then you do not, they have to give you the same benefits as if you were 50 years old.
Right.
So you don't have to sign up for Medicare. So that's why we don't do anything. We might sign you up for Medicare Part A just to get you in the system, and we'll debate that depending if you have HSA plans and all that good stuff. But if you are retired, you are not working, you do not have a spouse or spouse's group insurance, we got to sign up. We got to hit that 7 months. And that's where, yes, let's get the ball rolling. And that's why we want you to come in 90 days prior. So like starting next week, September, I got to start seeing my December babies.
Right.
And that's why. And then when we get to October, I got to see my January babies, the 61ers already. Crazy to say that. But that's where it's very situational, and I know what you heard. Everyone's situation is different. You know, like an ideal thing for me, if my wife was like 20 years younger than me, because then if she was working at group insurance, I wouldn't have to go with a large employer. I wouldn't have to go on Medicare.
Oh yeah, you could really stretch that out for a while.
Yes.
There you go.
But that didn't work out that way. So, so it's very situational, and you know that's why even if you think you got it right, just give us a call.
Right.
920-887-0580. You don't even have to set an appointment for that. You know, just be like, hey, I have a quick question. I was told I have to sign up for Medicare. Do I? And then I'll just ask you the same questions we just kind of discussed, like, well, are you on group insurance? Right. And then basically, because Medicare is meant to be primary.
Right.
You know, so they're not meant to be a secondary insurance. So a lot of people think that. They're like, well, I'm going to stay in my group insurance, but I'm going to go on Medicare too.
Right, because they think it'll supplement their group insurance.
Correct. And Medicare's the government. They're going to be like, no, you have group insurance. You pay first. So they might pay some claims after you meet your deductibles and your maximum out of pockets, but that's helping out the insurance company, not you.
Right.
So you didn't need it. Now, if you have an employer with less than 20 employees, typically you'll get a letter from the insurance company saying, hey, starting this month when you turn 65, we're only covering 20% of the cost. That means you have to be on Medicare. So you can still keep that plan.
Right.
But you're going to pay, if you have a $100,000 surgery, that insurance company's only paying $20,000. They want Medicare. So that's where Medicare would be primary.
Right.
And your group insurance would essentially be your supplement. I haven't had a lot of people stay with their group insurance when that happens, because typically smaller employers have, it's more expensive.
Right.
Out-of-pocket cost, not just for deductibles and maximum out-of-pockets, but for premiums. So it might make sense to go to Medicare then.
Right.
You know, so we'll debate that, what makes the best sense, but there isn't a right answer, and that's why this has been a 10-minute answer to this question,
Right.
because it's so situational, and so many people, like, I have a bunch of books from Social Security, one on Medicare, one on understanding your benefits, one on what women should understand with retirement benefits, and then there's one more I can't remember offhand. Social Security gives them to us.
Right.
So if I always bring that book out, because like I say it, they're like, well, no, you know, like I believe you, but like this is not what I heard.
Well, here's this government publication that says.
Yes, and that's just kind of, you know, the proof is in the pudding. You could stop by our office anytime we're open and just say, hey, I heard on the radio that you have these books from the government. Everyone asks for those. Right. But it's just they are pretty good knowledge. They're not a book. All right. It's just a pamphlet. It has probably like 15 pages in it. But very, very good stuff. And even if like we're 5 years out from Medicare or Social Security, it's nice to just get a little knowledge on it.
Right, because although things can change, general stuff like terminology, things like that will remain the same more than likely.
Absolutely. And that's why, so yeah, very situational, great question. And so these are like typical questions I'm hearing.
Right.
You know, they're like, I don't know anything about this, you know, and I was told this, and, you know, and it's like, you shouldn't. How many times you been on Medicare?
Right.
How many times you signed up for Social Security? How many times you retire? And you don't have to. I'd rather we educate you, get a game plan going, and then we'll go from there. Sometimes by us getting you on Medicare Part A is just nice because you're in the system, and that would only be for like a health scare. You know, the plan was I was working 5 more years, but all of a sudden we had a health scare, or our spouse did, and we have to retire.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, you come in. Technically, 90 days prior, ideally, but it doesn't work that way usually. I'll just have to give you some literature that you have to bring to HR to fill out to prove to the government that we did have group insurance. Right. And then I will personally fax that stuff to your local office, whether it's Portage, West Bend, Fond du Lac, and then that's how we get on Medicare after 65 without any penalties.
Okay, that answers that question. I do have a few more. I do want to remind everybody, if you have a question, you can feel free to give us a call here. You can call us at 920-885-4446 or call and text us at 920-887-9595. We do have Jeff up in the studio standing by. More than happy to take those calls and texts and relay them down to us. And, yeah, he's practicing
on the
his
phone
phones.
now.
So feel free to give us a call if you have a question you want to add to this as we continue on. And if you're interested in getting your hands on one of those books, he said you can come down to the office. That office, of course, at the Heritage Mall, right behind the newly opened Spirit Halloween.
Please, have you gone there yet?
I have not.
This is your favorite
I still
holiday.
haven't. I know. My oldest is in my office right now. They've been there, told me about some of the stuff. They said they were still unpacking a few things. So I'm thinking this weekend's a good time to swing on in. I've got a 3-day weekend, which means plenty of time to shop and see what cool stuff is new this year.
Okay, because I want to say it's open for late August, September, October, and maybe even November. I thought I heard.
Sometimes they'll carry some like Thanksgiving stuff in there as well.
Okay.
Or they'll bring in a few, and this has become new things now where they're doing Spirit Halloweens that are open year round, and they have like haunted Christmas things that they'll do, and haunted 4th of July things. So
Just dropping knowledge on these Halloween stores. I love it. I love it.
So you mentioned something, and I'm not now. It's perfect because that's my next question. Medicare Part A or Part B, or how many parts are there, and what are generally the differences? Like, do you need Part A, B, C, D, E, or do you only need one?
Okay, situational again.
Okay.
So Medicare Part A is inpatient hospital, home health care. It's if you've worked 40 quarters in your life, 10 years, you sign up for it, it's free then. So, or you could sign up through a spouse if you haven't worked in, that's a rabbit hole. But we like getting you on that. It's free, you don't have to worry about it. Now, if we are retired, we have to sign up, we have to go on A and B. B is medical. So that's the one that costs the $185. That's the one we use though. That's outpatient, that's primary care, that's, surgeries, specialists. That's the one that Medicare is paying 80%. But before we look at an Advantage plan or supplement or drug plan, we have to be on A and B, no matter what. Right. So that's why we worry about the government stuff first before we even look at plans. So now there's Medicare Part C.
Okay.
What is that?
That's a great question.
Yes. So that is what we call Advantage plans.
Okay, and that's a supplement to your. Well, I shouldn't say. I use the word supplement because that's another thing.
Yes.
But that's in addition to if you have A and B, right?
So you have to be an A and B no matter what, right? So if we go on Medicare Part C, I call it the package deal. They're 1-year contracts. This is the time coming up here.
Right. This is the big thing going on. Okay.
You're missing out. Gym memberships, dental, vision. This is coming up, and these are 1-year contracts. 0 health questions. You can switch every year if you want. But this is your time, October 15th to December 7th. And Medicare Part C, essentially what you're doing is you're privatizing your Medicare. So like your money that comes out of your Social Security, or if you aren't on Social Security, you pay quarterly, goes right to that company. Because the plans are $0. So many people are like, well, how do they give me a gym membership and I'm not paying anything for this? And then they're giving me over-the-counter items. How are they making money? They're making money. Because your Social Security money, your Medicare money is going to them.
So they're getting that part of that 185 or that 185.
Yes.
Okay.
They're getting the 185. So they're getting subsidized, but it's 1-year contract, 0 health questions. We can switch every year. That's what everyone wants you to do. If you're happy with what you have, there's not a lot of change. Why would we switch?
Right.
I mean, that's the type of person I am. But some people are like, they like trying different things, and you're locked in for a year then. So like when we evaluate them, when I find out October 1st when they come out, can't sign anyone up till the 15th, but at least I get a couple weeks to see what we got here. What am I paying monthly? Where can I go? And what's the worst case scenario? The maximum out of pocket. That's all I really care about. Right. Maybe the X-ray copay went up $10 or down $10. You'll go insane if you start doing that.
Right.
It's just I'm worried about the $1 million cancer year. Now, there's one more. Medicare Part D.
Right.
D for drugs.
Okay.
So now if we go on traditional Medicare and we take a Medigap policy or supplement, right, it fills in the gaps of Medicare. This is what we call traditional Medicare. This is how Medicare was originally designed. They're going to pay X amount of dollars. They have these other companies come in and fill in the gaps of Medicare, pay the other 20%. Well, that's great, and they're a policy. You don't have to renew them, but you pay up front. You don't pay zero.
Right.
So these plans are designed completely opposite, right? So you pay up front, and then when you doctor, you have less out-of-pocket cost. So you're paying for peace of mind, but you're paying.
Right.
So like that's why affordability is all I really care about. So like a maximum out-of-pocket this year for a Cadillac supplement is $257. That's it. You could have a $100,000 surgery, you get a bill for $257, you never get a bill the rest of the year. Amazing insurance.
Right.
But you're paying for it. You know, so it's all situational, and that's why, and they go up every year. But you don't have to renew it. You get to pick your surgeons, pick your facilities. You could move to Texas and keep this insurance.
Right.
So, because Medicare is obviously federal.
Right.
So, really, really good, but they get expensive. And we've been noticing it. It's been getting very expensive. A lot of the claims, they're having record numbers of claims.
Right.
And claims are not cheap. I mean, medical bills are very expensive. Procedures are very expensive. So, these insurance companies are really taking a hit. And so is Medicare. So, we're going to have to see how that one kind of pans out. But supplements do not have prescription drug coverage. So that's where Medicare Part D comes in.
Right. Because you got to, I mean, generally with age comes drugs.
Yes, and if we don't have Medicare Part D, that's another penalty.
Okay. So you got to have the two. Is that another thing where it's 1-year contracts, or is that something where you sign up and you're good?
That's a 1-year contract. So if we do not have credible prescription drug coverage more than 63 days, like after we lose our insurance or lose our credible prescription drug coverage, you can get a penalty, 1% per month. So it goes up, and it can get expensive. So you have to have something.
Now, does that penalty go away once you have it?
Not at all.
So that's another permanent penalty.
Another lifetime penalty.
So if you're late to sign up to Medicare, you get that 10% on there.
Correct.
Then if you don't carry the drug coverage, you said 1% per month?
Yep. Yes.
So that could add up quick.
Absolutely. But drug plans aren't as expensive, obviously, as Medicare.
Right.
But so, like, if you are on an Advantage plan, which has the package deal, has the drugs with it, you're fine. You know, you have it. But so how the drug plans work, another fun time of year, October 15th to December 7th. This is your chance to check your drug plan. And you're going to get a book of changes before I even see it coming in the next few weeks. And it's going to say, hey, in 2025, this is what you paid. In 26, this is what it's going to be. This is what your deductible, this is what it's going to be next year. This was your copay for tier ones, this is what it's going to be next year. And if you look at that and be like, nothing really changed, it just rolls right over to next year. But you have to look at it. Because if I get so many calls in January, February, and they're like, I was paying $0 a month for this drug, and now I went there and they want $10. It's like 1-year contracts. I cannot explain it. I do not know why. They obviously raised that drug to a tier 2 or tier 3. Doesn't make sense to me either. You know, and this is like one of the most frustrating things with Medicare is the prescription drugs.
Right.
Because prescription drugs are not cheap.
Right.
Oh, some are.
Right.
Yep. So generics, obviously, we're not going to have a lot of problems, but we're having problems with all these name brand medications. They're not cheap. The problem is they work. They're great.
Right.
They're very innovative, less side effects. You know, don't get me wrong. And we have to decide between like quality of life. Like, is this something we go back to the doctor with and be like, you know, is there something else, you know, or because we got to trust our physicians, obviously.
Right.
You know, they know our whole health history. I'm just cheap and I'm going to try generic first, you know, but if the generic doesn't work or I have side effects and I have to go to the name brand, it's quality of life.
Right.
So very situational, but this is the time to review this, you know, and talking to your doctor or just my charting him and say, hey, you know, like Medicare's not covering this drug next year. Like, what are people doing?
Right.
You know, but that could save us a lot of money moving forward.
I've learned recently that it can be very weird reasons why drugs move from one category to another. In some cases, if they find out that it has an alternative use that makes it more marketable, that suddenly can shift it to where it now has a higher cost and becomes more of a brand name, you know, designer kind of thing.
Yeah, like I just learned the other day, like sildenafil, which is like generic Viagra,
Right.
Medicare doesn't cover it. They don't. Because just like the smoking, to get you to quit smoking.
Right.
Starts with a C. I can't remember. But that they don't cover that. So because it's not like for medical.
Right.
But Medicare does cover sildenafil in a small dose for females, and I can't remember what it's for. It's for something with heart or blood pressure, something. But it just blew my mind. I was like, wow. So they'll cover it only in a low dose.
Right.
For
and only
females.
for that very specific.
Yes.
Purpose.
Yeah, that's why things blow my mind every year. Like, oh, what's going to happen now and stuff. But regardless, if you see a commercial on TV for any medication you're taking, it's going to be expensive.
Right.
And a lot of times, people coming off group insurance, there's a lot of programs, copay cards, medication assistance programs, grant programs, and they're run through the manufacturer usually, and they're getting it for $10 a month, and then they get to Medicare, and we're paying hundreds of dollars a month for it.
Right.
Those programs usually go away usually for commercially insured patients, which is you have group insurance. So once we get to fixed income, they're like, oh yeah, you got to pay more.
Of course.
Very frustrating.
Now, Matt Heiar, when I'm on looking at my drug plan, the one I had last year covered all my drugs. Everything was fine. I had no prescriptions to worry about. Next year, something's going to go up. How do I know? Does it say on the paperwork, like, hey, by the way, we know you're taking this medication, and this is what it's going to cost you next year?
Well, it doesn't say your medication. It just says what your tier 1 copay is. It was $0. Next year, it's going to be $0. Your tier 2 was $5. Next year, it's going to be $5. So if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Right.
And this is, as much as you're hearing on TV and the mail you're getting, the emails and phone calls, it's if we can only save you, a couple bucks next year.
Right.
What is it worth switching?
Right.
You already have mail orders set up with them, and you're used to this company. It's a lot of fear mongering to get you to call, switch, talk to someone, and this is when a lot of people get signed up for things they didn't want to sign up for. So we got to be vigilant. We do not give that Medicare number out.
Right.
If we're signing up, yes, you have to.
Right.
But we want to know what you get. We want to know what you're getting and what you're signing up for. So, like, if you do call those numbers, because I can't control anybody, but do the due diligence. Say, send me a packet of information.
Right. Give me the literature.
Yep, and you can bring it into the office, which we probably have the packet regardless, and let's compare it to what you have. Let's, I'm a visual person, so that's why we have the big screen in the office, because it's like, all right, we'll put them side by side. What do you like about this one? What do you like about this one? Usually people don't end up switching, but there are times where they're like, hey, this is actually pretty cool. We could switch you. And so it's very situational. That's why September's my favorite month, but it's just filled with anxiety and anticipation of what is it gonna be next year, and what plans are gonna be out, or is any companies going out of business or merging with this company. So there's 14 drug plans this year. We type in your drugs, where you go to the pharmacy, whatever's the cheapest for next year, because it'll show us a full annual amount, assuming we're on just those drugs and we don't get any new ones. So we can get a kind of a budgetary number. Now, this year, 2025, Medicare came out with, you can't spend more than $2,000 on prescription drugs.
Right. That's
deductibles and copays. So once you hit $2,000, then it goes to 0 every time you pick it up, which is nice. That number's going to go up. It's probably $100, $200, something like that. It'll go up. Now, the scary part is, not the scary part. They came out with another thing, because some drugs are $2,000 a month, right?
Right.
So it's like, oh, month 1, I just spent $2,000. We just had Christmas. That's a lot of money.
Right.
So they came out with the MPPP, another acronym from the government.
Yeah, because we love those.
Yes, Medicare Prescription Payment Plan. And basically what it is you can call whatever drug company you're on and say, hey, sign me up with the MPPP. I like it. But what it is basically they'll take whatever the amount is, $2,100, $2,200, whatever, divide it by 12, and be like, all right, you pay $170 a month, and then every time you go to the pharmacy, it's $0.
Right.
So you can spread that pain off through 12 months.
And the upside is, if you are already taking that medication, maybe it's a maintenance medication, you don't have to worry about if you have a new medication added or additional, because you're paying for that one, which means it's good everywhere.
Yeah, and last year was a little chaotic because they just came out with that $2,000 max. Mm-hmm. They just came out with the MPPP. So people and as soon as you sign up, they will send you that paperwork for the MPPP. And people are like, what is this? What is this? I was like, you have 3 medications and they're all $0. You do not need a payment plan.
Right.
But they send it to everyone. And I get it. I guess they don't know through HIPAA like everyone's drugs. Right. But it's so if you get that, if you are exceeding that amount, your unexpensive medications, it might make sense to pay that or to sign up for that. But I've had some people just rip the Band-Aid off and pay it and be done with it. But it's all situational. And that's why, if you have questions and you get that paperwork, that's why you have to go somewhere local, because you want to ask that person what. And then you can also call that person back and say, hey, you told me this, right? And that's the peace of mind that we try to give people. And this is confusing stuff. And it's just in a whirlwind of 7 weeks, good luck. Hopefully you make the right decision. And if you didn't do anything in the 7 weeks, it's your fault. And that's basically what they say. And that's not right. It's like, if you are curious, you want to sleep better at night just knowing like, hey, I'm good to go for 2026, it's a phone call. That's it.
And it's so crazy because, like, how could you feel comfortable? I mean, even talking about this with you, I still have new questions that come up and new things that I learn. And we've had this conversation on a weekly basis for a while now. I can't imagine anybody calling up some random 800 number and getting, the person you've never talked to before, hey, this is, Jeff in the call center. And, how are they going to answer all your questions? How are they going to be there for you when you have more questions? I mean, you're mentioning this, MPPP thing, and I'm like, okay, so people get it automatically even if they're not paying for their medications. If they fill that out, does that mean they're paying for it even if they're never going to pay for a medication?
They won't pay for it, but they will. So like maybe like they pay, like $20 a month for all their medications. They'll divide that out, the $240.
And they'll break that into 12 payments.
Yes, which just doesn't make sense. And
yeah, okay.
So yeah, it's very situational, and that's why you want to deal with someone local. Not just us. There's plenty of people, even in our surrounding counties, that do it also. But it's just peace of mind, and but we only get one shot.
Right.
And I can't believe the mail. Like the mail is turned into just junk mail.
Of course.
And it's crazy. And bills. Mm-hmm. No birthday invites for parties anymore. Like I used to want to check the mail. So
that's why I make the kids check it.
Right. I still do not understand why so many people call off those, because I don't know if those are scams or not.
Right.
And they are getting very deceiving with their fine print. Always look at the fine print. It should say that they are not part of the federal government, Social Security, or Medicare. You'll be contacted by a licensed sales agent. These are required for solicitations to be put on there. And they all say it, but now they're getting tricky. Like I can't even read it. It's not in black paint. It's in like beige. Like it's like really hard to see.
It's like, oh, the paper is white and the ink is, wishbone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but I have a lot of people just drop them off. They're like, I figured it was that, but I was just driving by. It's like, perfect. That gives you peace of mind. Do it. Because it's already, I always call it controlled chaos, right? Because everyone wants to come in. They're like, all right, I would like to review my drug plan. If everyone did that, we wouldn't have enough time in 7 weeks.
Right.
So it's like, stop by the girls, give it your medication list, updated. So a lot of people are just going to their doctor's office and getting it printed off. That's every medication you've ever taken.
Right. How about just the ones you're on now?
And that's fine. You can print that off and send that, but cross the ones off. So we need to know your medications that you're taking regularly, obviously. If you get amoxicillin for a dental appointment, we're not worried about that one.
Right.
But then the quantity, like how the dosage,
right.
And then how many times daily are you taking it? So all those things, if you bring that to us, we will run your medications, and then we'll call you back and we'll say, do nothing.
Right.
You're on the best plan for next year.
You're good. Relax.
Yes. Or we'll say, hey, now we do got to set up an appointment. There's like 5 plans that are better than yours. So that's why I want to see everyone.
Right.
I really do. But it's difficult. So we're cutting back appointments back to a half hour, and I see a lot of people in one day on those. But we'll see. That's why this anticipation through September is frustrating, because it's like October 1st hits, what's going to happen?
Right.
And like there is a super popular plan that's for drugs that a lot of people are on. Because if you're on just like blood pressure, cholesterol, generic drugs, it's a no-brainer. You should be on this plan. It's $0 a month, really good copays.
Right.
That plan stayed the same from last year to this year.
Right.
If that plan blows up, which we talk about another plan that did like 5-6 years ago, it's just chaos.
Yeah, you're going to be nonstop phone off the hook.
Because everyone's got to come in. Like we'll run their meds and be like, you have to come in.
Right.
Last year was the first time we had someone, which you asked me this last week, I think. We had a company that said, "You're done. We're not having a plan next year. You have to switch."
Right. Because if you don't, then you fall into that group that for who knows how many months you don't have it, and now you're going to pay some penalties.
Yes. So, and the problem was, like, the reason they gave you a penalty for prescription drugs, because so many people, like, back in the day before they started, they're just like, well, I'm not on medications. I don't need a drug plan. And it's like, I get that, but then all of a sudden they have a health scare.
Right.
They're on medications. Then they call us. They're like, I need a drug plan. It's like, that's like crashing your car and trying to get insurance.
Right.
So
Might as well pick something that's zero cost just to get it on there than not.
you are leaving with something. And believe it or not, I've had people come in with supplements and their agent didn't sign them up with a drug plan. Terrible. And that's why you just want guidance. And not saying they did it, facetious, like, but that is really important.
Right.
And that's why I always tell people, I haven't had a penalty on my watch. So if you get a penalty, you get to yell at me. But at least you can see me in person.
Right.
Call me, and you will use this insurance.
Good track record there. I like that.
I got to knock on wood.
Right. So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but the question came up, okay, well, when you get old, you tend to have problems with your teeth, your vision, and your hearing. So with a lot of traditional health plans through your employer, dental and vision are separate entirely. Separate plans, separate everything.
Correct.
So does that mean I have to have a special Medicare dental plan, Medicare vision plan, Medicare, hearing, if that's even a thing?
Yeah, very frustrating. The federal government doesn't care about your eyes, ears, or teeth. And I'm talking about glasses, contacts, hearing aids, and dental. And so, like, if you do want a dental plan, we're contracted with multiple companies, I need to know where you go to the dentist. Because you could sign up for 13 plans, but if your dentist doesn't take it, it wasn't worth it. There are PPO plans where you can go out of network. Why would you even do that? You're not getting as much bang for your buck. Might be better to private pay.
Right.
So dental is very situational. Some dentist offices are actually offering, like, their in-house plan. Like, hey, you pay $400 a year, you get 2 cleanings and x-ray and 10% off other stuff.
Right.
Maybe that makes sense. So we don't have a crystal ball with dental, but dental bills are getting up there, and so we really got to look at the contractual language when it comes to those plans, because some of the plans are like, oh yeah, we'll cover a crown if it's longer than 7 years old or caused by dental decay, and it's like, oh, I didn't know my crown had a birth certificate.
Right.
It's very frustrating. I've been paying all these years and now I can't even get a crown.
Right.
So that is stuff like where a lot of people are co-branding it. We do reviews for dental a lot. There's no enrollment period for dental though, so there's no rush.
Right.
Like, we got to sign up today. Like, I could see you January 15th, and I could sign you up for January 15th. I could start it then. So I'm not too concerned. But if you have the main thing is, before you come in for a dental appointment, let's talk about ask your dentist.
Right.
What dental providers do you take? And that kind of narrows it down for us then. Because if they're like, we only take this one, we got to look at that one.
Right.
So, because the websites aren't always up to date. Some contracts, they don't re-sign for the next year. And so, yeah, dental, wow, that's a tough one.
Now, what about those plans that say, like, oh, it comes with the gym membership and dental and whatever?
Yes. So, if that's the case, right, because that's Advantage plans, what
Right.
you're talking about. And they do have, but we want to look into it. Is it 1 cleaning per year?
Right.
Yeah, it's like, is that a dental plan? No, that's 1 cleaning per year.
1 X-ray every other year.
But they can say a dental on it, right?
Right.
And that's fine. But if that is the route you're going to go, ask your dentist. Be like, do you take this company's Medicare Advantage dental? We want to hear that from the horse's mouth, because if they say no, it's like, why would you pick that plan then?
Right.
And we're picking health insurance. That's what I try to stress to everyone, because I'm worried about the $1 million cancer year, the $100,000 surgery. Dental is great and it's very important, you could have bad health because of bad teeth. Obviously, I think they should pick up more into the dental, especially oral surgery. That goes down a rabbit hole too. But that's where we have to kind of look at the health insurance first, like prioritize.
Right.
If you get a dental plan, usually you have to go to a certain dentist.
Right.
Right. So if you're willing to do that, then absolutely that's the plan for you.
Right.
You know, and some people are like, no, I don't go to the dentist. I haven't had dental insurance for 5 years. I'm like, oh, well, then it's like if you did take this plan and you went to this dentist, you would have a dental plan. 2 cleanings per year, you know, no cost, x-rays, exam. It's like, and then max out of pocket of like $1,500.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah.
So if something did come up where you broke a tooth in half or whatever and you needed something, you got some options.
Yep. And that's why, like, the vision, limit supply. You know, and visions are like a lot of discount programs.
Right.
So a lot of what you're hearing is hearing aid, vision, dental, limit supply. So they have like contracts through, you know, certain providers.
Right.
You know, so even if we pick you a plan where you can go to this doctor or this doctor, those programs that they kind of flirt about, you know, on TV, we have to make sure. Just don't go buy hearing aids. Be like, all right, how do I get reimbursed for these? No. It's like you have to go through their provider,
Right.
you know, and walk through the steps of that. So that's very situational. Same with dental,
Right.
right? Don't just go somewhere and be like, all right, how do I get reimbursed for this $5,000 implant? We got a problem.
Right.
So that's why asking questions before, could sum it up in 30 seconds. Be like, nope, there's a 1-800 number right there under the vision part of it. Just call them and they will set you up the consultation, the appointment, the providers, you know, and then we're good to go.
And I know there could be pitfalls I've heard about where people are like, yeah, I went and saw my normal dentist and it wasn't covered because I didn't see my primary care physician first for them to tell me that it looks like a dental issue and then tell me to see a dentist.
Yeah, it's frustrating that we're not getting the dental more into the medical field because like now, like for a lot of these joint replacements and stuff, they're like, you have to go to the dentist. We got to make sure you don't have an infection because
Right.
we're not putting you on the table. You know, it's a risk to them too.
Right.
So yeah, it's scary. I mean, and you should care for your teeth, right? And that's why it is some people's concern, but some people they're like, no, I'll just private pay, and I can't say they're wrong,
Right.
because it's like, oh yeah, you pay $50 a month, that's $600 a year for $1,000 max out of pocket. It's like, are we really gaining something? You know, so we have to just weigh the pros and the cons. So if you get literature on dental plans, just give us a call. Let's weigh the options out, and if it even makes sense.
Last thing I wanted to touch on was something I actually saw today. I was scrolling through social media as you do, and it happened to be TikTok. And, of course, they like to serve you with ads periodically.
Really?
And I came across the one. I stopped on it. I took a screenshot. It's in my office. I'll have to show it to you. It's hilarious. But it's got this nice video of people jumping off a pier into the lake. It's sunset, whatever. And it has like a little kind of tug at your heartstrings, like, you know, don't do it for you, do it for your 2 kids and your wife, and it's a life insurance kind of thing.
Oh, it sounded like life insurance.
And, you know, just $54 a month can get you, I think it's like $1 million policy, you know, no health screening required. And I thought, wow, that's great. That sounds amazing. And at the very bottom, in the darkest part of the video image, there's a little thing that just says, assuming age 40-year-old male, non-smoking, in good health, may have to answer a few health questions.
Yeah. There's always a catch.
And I thought, isn't that a health screening? Sort of.
That's absolutely what it is.
Non-smoking, got to be in good health. Like, and I think this is just like you talk about the stuff we get, you know, in the mail. We get these letters, flyers, whatever, that say, you know, hey, this plan is this little and costs you nothing, and you get all these things, and you're totally going to enjoy all of it, and it's amazing. And at the bottom, it's got the, you know, well, this is solicitation, may not apply to everybody, you know, this, or the other thing. And,
reality.
Yeah, the reality of it all in little tiny fine print. And obviously, this touches on what you guys do, because being so local, nobody's going to come in and see you, sit down with you, Matt Heiar, help me go through this, help me figure out what I need. You get done, you sign them all up, and as they're thinking, all right, I've got peace of mind, you then very quietly, you know, slide them a white piece of paper that in clear ink says, you know, hey, this may not guarantee you may not get the coverage you expected, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah.
That's why I refuse to send out mailers. You know, a lot of the insurance companies that we contract with, they say they have mailer programs. No, you will not get a piece of mail from me. And I know they're like, oh, that's not smart and stuff. That's not good marketing. We get enough,
Right.
You know, and if that's why if you work with someone local, you have my phone number, you have my email, you have our website. Just give us a call,
Right.
or stop in. And that's there. I don't want to do this fine print because there is a lot of stuff you have to put on it if you do a mailer. But no, it's if you have a question about your health insurance or new health insurance or what your neighbor had, you just give us a call. That's really all it is to it.
There you go. And that's an easy number to call, too. It's 920-887-0580. Superstar Jill standing by, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Give her a call. Stop in there at the Heritage Mall.
Yep.
From 9 till noon and 1 to 5, Monday through Friday. Closed on Labor Day, though, taking the day off.
Yes.
And, swing on by, knock on the door if you have questions. Ask for that literature. You know, it could be as simple as walking in and saying, hey, I may have questions for you. Do you have some literature for me?
Yes,
first?
and we're not going to make you sign a blood or
Right.
sign some paperwork. It's like they'll hand it to you. You can walk out the door.
Exactly. There's no door opens. You walk in, you hear cha-ching go off. Like, it's not happening.
Exactly.
You know, they're there to help and there to answer questions. And then when you're ready, be it retirement, be it signing for Social Security, be it Medicare, be it life insurance, all of that. Even estate planning, you guys got Rob Mealy that comes out and helps out and does stuff there in the office.
Absolutely.
Any of those things, they can swing by, they can ask those questions, they can talk to you guys, and have that local peace of mind.
One-stop shop.
That's what we look for. Well, unfortunately, our time's up for the day. Time flies by quick sometimes on a Friday.
All
But that
right.
means we can get to our 3-day weekend a little earlier.
I like it.
Perfect. So last thing you do is let everybody know.
When you want to retire?
Call Heiar. This has been a paid program. The advice and opinions expressed on the program are solely that of Heiar Insurance, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.